Okay, so it's a bit of an experiment today, but let's see where it goes. Okay, so we bow to Mother, Father, Creator, God. We bow to our great teachers and ascended masters. And we bow to the original keepers of our lands. So Giuliano recently said that we should work with karma and also with greater receptivity. So that we'll try to do that today. Now, each of us can work with our own PCOL, but if we are not in a PCOL, we simply work with our own city. So wherever you may be, that is what you relate to. Okay. And we'll explore using light and color vibrations to release old karma and to fill the city with higher color vibrations. And the presence of old karma influences the inhabitants now, so that whatever is in the auric field encourages those aspects of human beings. So if humans are living in an auric field that's very, very dark and murky and filled with old trauma, it will stimulate that side of themselves, and vice versa. Ordinary people living in cities of light become elevated. And that's why we're here. So, okay. So, first of all, let's go into a deeper state. So, close your eyes and focus on your breath. And you may want to use a deep breath to a count of 10 or 15. So, that would be inhale 10, hold 10, exhale 10. And as you slow the breath down, you begin to move into a deeper consciousness. So let's do that at our own pace. Now focus on your heart chakra and feel it opening petal by petal, wave by wave. And allow it to open. And then move your attention to your third eye and also allow a sensation of opening and clearing. And for more support, we'll configure our energy field into the shape of the cosmic egg. And welcome Giuliano, filling it with violet energy. And next, we will move to the Ring of Ascension. So we have the support of many ascended masters and great teachers. And so move directly with your expanded aura and purple energy to the Ring of Ascension. and greet and acknowledge the great masters there who are willing to help us. So from this vantage point, each person connect with their city, whether it's a formal PCOL or the city where you are living now. And if there's a master crystal, then allow the crystal also to rise and assist. And now you use your remote vision to examine the energy field around and also below your city. Because many traumas from the past now have become buried and are in strata below the city, but having a very strong influence still. And these histories create dark vibrations which support and strengthen any dark emotions that the human beings on the surface may have. So examine the field. Be open to receiving impressions from your energy field. They may be visual, they may be feelings, they may be vague or pretty clear. And you may see holes, cracks, discolorations, weak areas, dark, dense areas. So do not evaluate what you're feeling and seeing. Just make note of it in a neutral way. So we'll now go into silence so that each person can be receptive to the energy field of their own city. And your experience may be quite abstract, cracks and holes, or it might be quite literal. So you might actually sense incidents from the past, activities from now, substances like drugs, old murders. Just be very neutrally accepting and curious about what lies in the field. And some of what you see and feel may be quite familiar, and others not. I found myself, I'm very familiar with the colonial violence connected with Santa Fe, but I also became aware of all the mining, copper mining, uranium mining that's gone on in the area, and how cruel and disrespectful it was to the earth. And if it feels like an overwhelming amount of information, pick one aspect to work with today, knowing that that will affect the others, and you can also come back and continue the work at other times. And now we're going to connect with the famous Arcturian blue light, the blue light that comes from Tomar's temple and seems to hold the vibration of Arcturus very powerfully. So if possible, see or visualize this wonderful, brilliant, vibrating blue. Now this blue light has an intensely purifying effect on things. Very high vibration, very purifying and clearing. Now what I found in the process of bringing this light to the dark parts of our earthly auras, it was so intense that it almost couldn't be accepted. So I thought, let's try to downstep it through a couple of the crystals on the Arcturian tree of life. So the crystal at Mount Shasta, which represents compassion, loving kindness, and the crystal at Volcan Poes, its opposite, which represents judgment, justice, fairness, strength, discipline. And it seemed to me, although these crystals are very high, they are among the most human of the crystals on the tree of life. And so let's ask them to receive the Arcturian light and soften it and downstep it enough so that we can use it to clear the darkness in our cities. So that the clearing of old karma includes compassion, is done with compassion, but also with a firm sense of judgment of what's right of justice. And so feel this combined light, which may be a softer shade of blue, or you may have another impression entirely. So just watch as this light begins to eat, consume, digest, and dissolve the old karma in the aura. So continue to do this in meditation until you have more or less neutral field. And there's kind of a great relaxation as the tension in the field begins to smooth out and become very empty. And you can, of course, include any darkness that's in the aura above the earth, not just below the earth. And now we're going to ask Giuliano from Spaceship Athena to help us to fill this empty, neutral, blank space with higher color energy. And so the first color that he sends us is a vibrant, beautiful red. But I think what's important when Giuliano sends us things, it's our job to receive them and to stabilize them and to hold them. Now, in the case of red, since it has a connection with your root chakra, it might work for you to hold the red by tuning into your root chakra. But any way that works for you. And deepen your experience of red. Let it fill the space. But just briefly, because too much red, of course, can turn into rage and violence. But in small doses, It brings great vitality, warmth, life promoting. Okay, and the next color that Giuliano sends to us is a brilliant emerald green. Very sparkling, very lucid. Also very calm and nourishing, life promoting, but peaceful. And it may work for you to hold this impression with your heart chakra. But anyway, that works is fine. So we're going to hold this color for quite a long time. You can also hold it by visualizing a scene from nature that's full of vibrant green. And sense the green filling every nook and cranny, below the earth, above the earth, in the hearts of people, animals, trees, plants, etc. And certain people, when holding a color, become aware of a sound also. So if you listen with your inner ears, you may find an impression of an equivalent sound. So you can hold the sound as well. And the heart quality of this color fills and blesses your beloved city. And so the green remains stable. But now Giuliano is going to send us light from a higher vibration. So he's going to send us a golden light with a pearlescent sheen to it. And you can see this light filling, like filling a balloon, the whole aura of the city, blessing it below the ground, above the ground, in all the living forms. And you can hold this through your crown chakra if you want to. And when it feels complete, when the balloon is about as full as it can possibly be, Then end with a statement of love for your city and your commitment to continuing to support it. And all these colors are sealed in your aura as an inhabitant of the city and are available to enrich your life and the life of others you come in contact with. And now slowly return your main focus to your physical body, wiggling fingers and toes, or if it helps to visualize your awareness as 6 feet above your physical body and descending in perfect alignment. Blessings to all.
Thank you, Amrit. It's beautiful.
Welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Amrit.
I feel excited about the possibility of using the big crystals from the Arcturian Tree of Life, which we don't utilize very much. And I've always been a bit puzzled. What can we do with them? But one of the things I think they can be is intermediaries for us from high energy that's hard to hold, digest, etc.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, Amrit. It was perfect.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Blessings. Thank you.
Blessings. I especially appreciated the work with the city because I've been working with the spirit of and the divas of Portland, and that was I just felt held by all of that and by all of you. So thank you. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. I can see the divine plan why you had to come to Taos and then to Portland because you have a job to do there.
Yeah, it's clearly
yeah
it's unfolding. And I'm attracting other light beings, which is exciting. And I met some yesterday at Conscious Dance. And so, yeah, the assignment is getting clearer. So thank you. Thank you for that, Ariana. And I just appreciate we're all here lifting. That's what we're all doing together as planetary healers and Arcturian star beings. So I'm just feeling grateful to know all of you as well and be connected always. And now I have a crystal to bury up in the Rose Garden in Washington Park. So that became very clear. It's on my altar. I now I know why it raised its hand and said, I'm going to go somewhere under the ground. So I can literally start that work as well here and get some crystals in the earth. Okay.
Would anybody like to share what you have observed in your city of light in the energy field?
Well, I feel like the pain of all the souls, they are still here. I went to the base. We have a base here, Marine base, Roosevelt Road. And it was, you can feel that the soul, the pain, it was something deep with a lot of energy altogether. And I went to the cemetery, and let me tell you something, the cemetery still people standing up there in the places that they are, and just waiting for somebody to come.
Yeah.
And I feel that too, and it was very deep, very, very deep, you know. But the work is done, and I know everything's gonna be very good now. I know.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. This is something that we have to do, because some people are ready to go and some people they're not. They want to stay, and every 3 months do it, because there are people ready to go, and we have to do it just constantly, you know.
Yeah. Well, and
we have to do everything constantly.
Yeah.
Ariana and I were just talking about that this afternoon. That's just part of the work. All the time. It's never going to end, because that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, the experience was just, it was really spectacular, because there's so much history in Fairhope. There's so much history regarding the Deep South and segregation and the Jim Crow laws. And we had lynchings in Mobile. And so when we were doing the initial, almost like looking or seeing what was out there, it was overwhelming. We have Blakely Field, which is a Civil War battlefield, last one of the Civil War. There were souls just like you're talking about, Carmen, there, just hanging out. We had Battle of Mobile Bay right off the shore here. There's so many, in our little community of Fairhope, which was a utopian community created in 1899, it felt like it was a very exclusive, specialized, or people that were here. But what's missing, and I was seeing this in the meditation, is the integration of the African Americans and the other cultures. In particular, the Native Americans were massacred here many years ago, 200 years ago. And so that hasn't healed, and there was a need for that. And it was beautiful to see the colors, because the colors did have some effect through the shifts that I saw in the shades, the different shades. And like somebody was saying, I think you said this, Patty, we need to do this constantly.
Yeah.
Because I can see there's layers and layers of healing and releasing karma. I almost thought we had a hole in the auric field, i.e. one of those, it was just, there's so much going on. So I had to really, I'm glad you mentioned focus on one particular area, and I focus on integration. Because there's the Black community in Fairhope is marginalized. There's not a lot of integration between the Fairhope community and the African Americans, the descendants of the slaves in our community. They're the poor part of town. They live separate, and you don't see many of them in the restaurants in town. And so those kind of things, it's one of those things that needs to be we need to bring into a healing.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that in many communities, especially the rural communities, the poorer communities all over.
This is very interesting to me, because, and I'm so glad you brought that up, Bob, because I was called to take a sacred activism course, and guided that this was part of why I was in Portland. And I could go on for 15 minutes about activism and separateness and how we've created separateness in this dimension and how much pain it costs. But I'm following this calling, and it's so interesting because these conversations I'm having with other light beings, this is up right now, this idea of segregation and separateness and healing all of that, racism, isms. And so we're looking at things like Black, and these are terms that are being used in this course, Black racism, Asian American violence, white rage. And I had an encounter 2 weeks ago with a man, and I didn't know that it was white rage, but now I realize I was facing off with a man in his car with white rage. He was threatening me, and he backed me into a fence, literally with his car, and he was just spewing things at me. And I'd never encountered such violence, but I'm learning. So I'm in this class, and now we're talking about it here. So there is something to this. I think we're being asked to really, really focus on just this. I feel it everywhere in my body in this moment. So thank you. Yeah.
Also to remember to pace yourself and to identify your projects, so to speak, because it can be completely overwhelming.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a very good reminder. I tend to dive in.
Yeah. And also
I cloud over. Yeah.
You know, and remember, for me, it's a reminder how sensitive we are, and the need to heal and to really, you know, I'm not talking beyond the cosmic egg. I'm talking about healing and connecting with your emotions, and being with what's there, and allowing yourself to grieve and being connected all the way through, because there's so much out there right now that triggers you. Just the slightest little thing is triggering, and we just have to learn how to deal with that. And especially in these kind of healings.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of our jobs is to help create unity consciousness, and that's what we're talking about with the races, or the division in the communities, you know.
Can you say more about that, Amrit? I totally align with that, and how do we bring unity to racism or to this the activism around? You know, this is a question I'm holding. I don't know if we have an answer to that, but that's exactly what I feel the calling is bringing unity consciousness into that. Because most of the groups I'm in that are unity consciousness groups are mostly white. And I'm seeing some brown brothers and sisters now, you know, some South Americans and some Central Americans that are joining, but I don't see like what's our role? How can we, you know, bring unity consciousness in?
I remember, Kate, Ariana probably remembers this too. There was a biorelativity that was done last year called Unity Through Diversity. And I thought it was really, really powerful. You remember that, Ariana? I think it was David that did it. He channeled it. But anyway, I have that meditation, and I can send it to you if you want. I mean, it's really a very powerful one, and it was done during the election, I think. 2020 or something like that. But anyway, it's applicable right now. I mean, it continues.
Why don't you send it to all of us? That would
I will. It's called Unity Through Diversity. It's a biorelativity meditation.
I have seen it. I mean, the first thing is that one has to counter it in oneself, you know, that we all, it may not be on racial grounds, but we all have those people that we would like to disown or not spend any time with and consider inferior if we really, you know, are honest. So I don't think it has to be a big thing either. It can be clearing. And the other thing I think is to getting to know the other groups, you know, and for me, the hardest group to get to know are avid Trumpites, you know.
White rage, white separatists,
Yeah.
Hard for me anyway.
Sympathy, but it's hard in person, and it's ongoing.
Yeah. So this weekend we had the Groupofforty lecture, and we have been working on the subconscious, and we was working with the mantra, we are all brothers and sisters. So you don't have to go out there and work with groups on unity. You connect with the subconscious of Portland and implant that mantra into the subconscious of the community. We are all brothers and sisters.
Yeah. I was in that lecture. That's a good reminder, Ariana.
Yeah.
And interestingly speaking about how we unify, what I have seen in the energy field of Taos, I have seen this like a smoky mirror separating the Pueblo people, the Native American people, from the rest of community, because they are very secretive, very protective of their spiritual work, their energy work. So there was this smoky mirror because they didn't want us to see what they are doing.
Yeah.
Ariana, I felt that when I lived there very, very strongly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very difficult to penetrate. And I thought, oh, is this just COVID? Because, COVID for 2 years and they closed the Pueblo down. Is it even open yet? You can't go in there anymore. And even
no, it's still closed.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're not going to ever open it again. And I felt that very, very strongly. I felt it was like heavy on my heart.
The feeling I got when I was in Australia and New Zealand years ago was that the indigenous will share their secrets, we call them, or their teachings when we're ready, when they notice that we're ready to receive them.
Yeah.
When we can clear our minds and just become open and without our prejudices and beliefs. And I found that to be very instructive because I was not clear. I had to spend almost a month with the Maori. And I think the last week is when I finally started becoming clear and becoming more open and just being with their teachings and honoring that. And that was a big test.
Yeah.
It really was. I mean, it was like a life transforming because I realized that I don't know anything.
Yeah.
When you have the empty mind and you say, okay. And in fact, for me, it was a lesson because the Maori, as you probably know, were trying, the ancient or the Christians were trying to convert them to Christianity. And the Maori Tahunas says, oh yeah, we know who Christ is. We know Sananda. We've been talking to him every day. And, and we're operating in the 12th dimensions. And sure enough, that the missionaries were a little blown away by that. And some of them hung around and decided, well, we like your spirituality. And so many of them just gave up and said, these people are beyond conversion. They already know, they're already converted. They are true spiritual warriors. And so anyway.
I always love a scene from one of the Astro movies, and the West is cheering. We got a man on the moon or something, and then the scene goes to a group of Australian elders, and they're sitting, leaning on a cliff, looking at the moon and saying, why spend all that money? You can just go to the moon.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Humans like to make things hard.
Yeah. My favorite moon story. My favorite moon story when I was in Mexico City. I was living in Mexico City. My friend Jesus Gonzalez, who lived across the street, and when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, I was in his TV room watching it with his family.
Oh, wow.
And I was proud to be an American, right? I was a young kid. And he says, Rob, he says, that Mexico was the first to land on the moon. I said, what are you talking about? Look, it's an American over there. And he goes, no, you see that young boy there cleaning the side of the window? That's the Mexican. And in Mexico City, when you stop your car, the kids show up out of nowhere and start cleaning your car. And then you give them a tip and so forth. And I says, yeah, right. But Jesus, never forget it. He says, yeah, that little boy is cleaning that. He was there. He's cleaning that. He's cleaning the capsule.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, Joshua talks about union as a prerequisite for unity. Because when you are in the state of union, you comprehend the fact that we are all one. We are one being expressed as many. And once everybody gets that, then it's easy to unify and work together as brothers and sisters. So once we have the transcript of the lecture, we can prepare a meditation with focus on we are all brothers and sisters.
What's the rest? We were all brothers and sisters on the planet or something, wasn't? I didn't write. I don't know if I wrote it down.
Well, we was working on 3 levels: the personal, planetary, and galactic. So
galactic, yeah.
We will work
and we were all brothers and sisters in the galaxy, and we were all.
So we will work on the community, being brothers and sisters in the community.
We're all brothers and sisters, and things in the middle, and theys.
That's exactly right, because there's no binary anything anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another expression is.
I got you, Amrit, on that. What's that, Rob?
Another expression is we are many and we are one.
We are many.
And we are one.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, instead of saying brothers and sisters, I was saying beings. We're all beings on the, yeah. Because, there's also our tree friends and our animal friends. And, I was seeing one of the things, I had many visions back to our meditation today of what was going on in the Pacific Northwest, but I saw, all the trees being cut down and the timber industry, just indiscriminately, just like without thought, just cutting and all the old growth and stuff. And I just was feeling the family of trees and the pain in that with our tree people.
Yeah. Tim, what do you have to say?
Well, mine was different. I ended up in the sacral and solar chakra of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And the colors, when I got there, were the normal colors for those chakras, the yellows, the oranges. And as the light came down that we were putting into the city, the sacral and solar chakras began to become clear. So, it brought, I think, calming to the city here. And as we continued to meditate, I then found myself in angelic form above the city. And I was helping us bring the light and covering the whole city with that light from the angelic. I was up fairly high, so I had everything in my vision that I could spread this light to, and the colors of the love, which was the green, the healing, which was the blue, right? And the sacred crystals, the crystals that we used, Patricia, was perfect. Okay, they were perfect. They brought balance to the city.
Yeah,
right? They brought balance of the negative, brought balance of the positive. So we had a center again while we were there. And at this, and at the same time, the crystals that I had planted were raised. They seem to do that when we're together. But they also absorbed those colors. And those colors are being held from the city. And they are transmitting those colors and holding them here. So I didn't see any history. I just healed the city and brought the light to the city.
Nice.
It was interesting to feel myself rise and see myself in a different. I wasn't in physical form anymore.
Yes. Your wings are a little itchy, maybe?
Somewhat. They were moving. So beautiful meditation, and I'm glad you brought it. It was perfect.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you, Amrit. It was precious.
Well, I think there's always a back and forth too. Energy infused from above, leading up whatever's blocking the energy. But on different days, different things appear that need to be done. So,
that's very true. If we did it tomorrow, we'd see something different.